Now, Carlton, the Boxing Day news and sport from ITN.
From the studios of ITN, the news and sport with Nicholas Owen and Graham Miller.
Good evening, welcome to the programme. Tonight's headlines: drama in the Japanese embassy siege, another hostage released and an explosion.
And in sport, horrors in Harare as England collapse against Zimbabwe.
One more hostage held for 9 days in the siege in Peru walked to freedom tonight at the end of another dramatic 24 hours. That drama began with an explosion inside the Japanese embassy compound in Lima, now thought to have been an accident. Talks to get the other 103 hostages released are still going on. Hal Jones reports from Lima.
A free man after 9 days. The Guatemalan ambassador to Peru, Jose Maria Argueta, walked out of the Japanese ambassador's residence in Lima. There was no deal to free him, but Guatemala is seeking peace with its own terrorists, and that was enough to persuade his captors to let him go. A face appeared at the window of the besieged building as the bishop who negotiated this release, Juan Luis Cipriani, walked out. He's won freedom for 2 men in 2 days. He says the remaining hostages are well, despite a night disturbed by an explosion. This early morning blast rocked the Japanese ambassador's residence. The most likely cause was an animal stepping on a landmine. Outside, police panicked. Inside, the hostages made no request for help or first aid. But soon after that incident, and less than a mile away from the besieged building, there came another potentially explosive situation. Outside the building where Peru tries its terrorists, a hand grenade was left on the pavement. It was defused and taken away, but the hostage crisis will not be solved quite so easily. Howell Jones, ITN, Lima.
Labour has accused the Conservatives of vote rigging after John Major was chosen as the BBC Today programme Personality of the Year. 4,000 of the phone votes for Mr Major were disallowed for multiple calling. Senior Tories said that was just over-enthusiastic party supporters. John Draper reports.
After a difficult 12 months, the Prime Minister winning the BBC Radio Personality of the Year award has delighted the Tories.
23% of the votes went to John Major, the Prime Minister. He's your choice for the Today Personality of the Year.
But some of the gloss has been taken off the Prime Minister's victory, with the BBC revealing that 4,000 votes had to be discounted because some people had phoned in for Mr Major more than once. It follows the row over Tony Blair's nomination for the same award when the BBC discovered that a Labour official had tried to manipulate a mass phone vote for the opposition leader. The Conservatives accused Labour of cheating then. Today, Labour said the Tories had rigged the Prime Minister's victory. Mr Heseltine dismissed that.
Here you have a Labour Party claiming to be fit to govern this country, so insecure that they need to try to fix a BBC poll to get Tony Blair made the Man of the Year.
The Today programme said it had used electronic methods to monitor the voting. The Conservatives say the result was absolutely fabulous. Labour say the real test of popularity will be the general election. John Draper, ITN.
The family of the Australian nurse killed in Saudi Arabia say the 2 British women accused of her murder can expect no appeals for clemency from them. If found guilty, Lucille McLaughlin and Deborah Parry could be beheaded. Helen Wright reports.
Yvonne Guildford's family say whatever the outcome, the Saudi judicial system must be allowed to run its natural course. They say if Lucille McLaughlin and colleague Deborah Parry are convicted of her murder, they won't try to save the nurses from the death penalty.
The brutal murder of her daughter and sister, I don't believe warrants us going to any extent to claim clemency.
55-year-old Yvonne Guildford was stabbed, battered with a hammer and smothered. Her body was found at the King Fahd Military Medical Complex. Friends say Lucille McLaughlin's parents can't believe she's been charged in connection with the killing.
Their thoughts are obviously with their daughter at the moment in Saudi Arabia, and also they're worried about how to get her the best possible legal expertise.
Diplomats are also trying to help the women find lawyers. The British consul who's visited them in Dhahran says both are well. They've also spoken to relatives in Britain who are keen to fly out to visit them. Helen Wright, ITN at the Foreign Office.
Around 60,000 opposition supporters in Serbia defied a police ban on demonstrations and went ahead with a rally. Riot police cordoned off the Parliament building in Belgrade. For 5 weeks there have been protests against the decision by the Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic to ignore local elections which didn't go his way. Germans today remembered the victims of a suicide bomber who exploded 2 hand grenades in a church in Frankfurt on Christmas Eve. Police say the 49-year-old bomber had psychiatric problems. She killed herself and 2 elderly women sitting next to her. And in eastern Malaysia, people have been scrambling for their lives as a violent storm caused flash flooding. More than 100 have been killed and many more are missing. Hundreds of houses have been swept away. Now with the Boxing Day sport, here's Graham Miller.
England's cricketers are in deep trouble in the second test against Zimbabwe in Harare. Their batting was woeful. 137 for 9 is how they finished the first day. Now they're in real danger of losing the test and the series. James Munro reports.
On a dull morning, Mike Atherton needed to win the toss. He didn't, and after that, nothing went right for England. Nick Knight the first out to a loosener from Henry Alonga. From then on in, the batsmen meekly surrendered their wickets. Once again, Mike Atherton disappointed with the bat, making just 13 before falling to Guy Whittle. England continued to give away their wickets. Craig White with a loose drive to leave them on 94 for 6. Only John Crawley kept the scoreboard ticking over, but his 34-run partnership with Robert Croft ended with another loose drive, this time from Croft. Darren Gough scored only 2 before he went for the big heave. Then Mullally offered his wicket without scoring. After a disastrous first day of the second test, England will now have to battle to save the series. James Munro, ITN Sport.
Liverpool are 3 points clear at the top of the English Premiership, but only thanks to a late Stan Collymore equaliser at Anfield, Leicester were ahead until 10 minutes from time when Collymore blasted home his goal to keep Liverpool at the top. Nearest rivals Arsenal could only manage a goalless draw at Sheffield Wednesday this evening. Andy Cole marked his return to the Premiership with a goal, United's 4th, to leave Forest stuck at the bottom. And Newcastle's championship hopes took yet another knock when they lost at Blackburn. Kevin Gallagher's goal sealing it for Rovers. Tottenham celebrated their own feast of Stefan at White Hart Lane. Norwegian Stefan Iversen scored a couple in their victory over Southampton. So Liverpool 3 clear of Arsenal, who have the game in hand. United go 3rd and Villa are 5th, despite losing at home to Chelsea. In Scotland, Rangers took their goal tally to 50 in 19 league games with their hammering of bottom club Wraith at Ibrox. Ali McCoist got the game's 4th as they continue to run away with the Premier Division. Racing, the grey horse One Man has won the King George VI chase for the 2nd year running. His only challenger, Mr. Mulligan, fell at the final fence to give Richard Dunwoody an easy run-in on One Man. It's Dunwoody's 4th win in the King George. That's a record. And that's it from the two of us.
From everyone at ITN this Boxing Day evening, good night.
Good night.
Hello and good evening. It's going to be another cold day tomorrow with lots of ice around, but dry, bright and sunny again for most of us. At the moment, though, there's a band of rain, sleet and snow right across the middle of the country. Now, in particular, that's going to bring 1 or 2 inches of snow to the Pennines in the East Midlands and to East Anglia by tomorrow morning. There are problems either side of that, though, particularly behind it, with lots of ice on the roads for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Watch out for that tonight. Tomorrow, that band of sleet and snow will continue to push across the rest of England, eventually clearing the southeast, though, during the afternoon, leaving most places dry and bright. Just a few wintry showers for the east coast. Very cold where that snow's last to clear, and milder further west. That's all from me. Have a very good night.
Power Gen. Generating electricity whatever the weather.